Hey everybody, it's been a while. I just wanted to make this video regarding Cyanotech and I want to have a discussion around this company. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a professional of any sort. Please don't take anything I have to say with any seriousness. This is just my opinion. And I actually just wanted to understand this company more and the stock and how management's doing and things like that. Um, Again, I'm not a advisor. I'm not a professional. I am nothing to be taken seriously. This is just a discussion at most. It's a joke at best. So, please do your own research. Please make any decision that you have. Do it off your own consensus. Again, I'm not a professional of any sort. I am just a joke who has an opinion, who just wants to understand how things work a little bit better. I'm sick and I'm coughing a lot, so I apologize. Been sick for maybe 2 weeks now, but yeah. Again, please don't take any of this serious. This is not advice. This is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. This is just my opinion. I just want to understand this better, and it'd be great if someone could answer these questions because I am curious myself. All right. Hello. Cyanotech is a company that I believe produces spirulina at a more premium level, and this is a company that my one of my family members had invested in a long time ago. Um, and looking at the stock's price, it has not been doing that well. So yeah, at most times in your life, if you've invested in this company and if you haven't sold out, I don't think you're doing too well. That's just my opinion, though. Again, all of this is just my opinion, not financial advice. This is just me wanting to understand things better and sharing my opinions. And please don't take any of this seriously. But yeah, so anyway, it's currently trading at a market cap of 1.45 million. I believe the revenues are much higher. So I'll be taking my time looking into things. Um, so it's a corporation that produces microalgae, like spirulina and things like that, I believe. It's in Kona Coast at the Natural Energy Lab of Hawaii, an island of Hawaii. So this is unscripted, but there are a few things I want to go over because it did interest me. It was founded in 1983. There's 86 employees, and it's a subsidiary of Nutrex Hawaii. And again, one of my family members had invested in this company. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're from Hawaii and they saw or they're sold an idea of something. But yeah, it hasn't been doing too well at all recently. I mean, it did kind of come up during COVID, maybe, but that was just stocks and whole. Now, it seems like a lot of these companies that have relied on that were just kind of hanging on, that weren't very profitable, are doing not too well in the stock market currently. There's a few, the larger indices are being propped up by a few companies, but for the most part, we are really hurting here. So our assets are bubbling. In real estate, our stock market isn't doing too well, despite the larger indices propping up maybe people's retirement portfolios and things like that. But yeah, when you look at individual companies, especially in certain sectors, they aren't doing too well, especially these micro caps and small caps. But why I wanted to understand Cyanotech was because, well, one of my family members again had invested in it a long time ago, and I just wanted to understand the company more. I did invest in this company personally. I am at a huge loss. I think I bought it around $3 or something, and it's just not doing too well though. But that's besides the point. Yeah, you always want to. I was just wondering if this was an interesting, you know, deal for someone like me at these prices, because I'm just gonna be going off simply Wall Street, so you can get a better idea of what I'm looking at. That way, I don't have to articulate myself too well. But yeah, as of the last earnings report in December 30th, 2023, the current revenues. This is information by Simply Wall Street. Is 22 million in revenue. the cost of revenue is 15 million, gross profit 6 million, other expense 11 million, and earnings is 4.6 in the negative. And I don't really know what comprises these things, so I'm just going off the information available. But the current market cap is only 1.8 million, 1.80 million. So that's really interesting to me, just because the revenues are so high. Now I know there's been a lot of companies that have high revenues and they're not profitable, and they've definitely been hit during these market conditions and economic conditions, which I guess it makes sense, right? So this is just not this is not the only one, but if these types of companies stocks generally move in one way as like a sector or as a whole, then maybe we can find like I don't know, some diamonds in the rough, I guess, is why I want to look at this company. And there's so many of them out here, but this is just something I'm a little bit more informed about because I've actually been here a few times. I've seen the location. I have a general idea and understanding of this location too. So it was just interesting to me. Sorry. Let's see. So it looks like when we view things like revenue, I'm just going to focus on revenue mostly here. When we look at revenue, at least from the latest information given, which is 2013, it's kind of stayed overall pretty flat, but in this general area, anywhere between 27 to highest 37. And yeah, I don't really know why it came up here. It could have been during COVID, right? Everybody was looking for health beneficial products and things like that. And there's just so many different things, right? Like, or maybe there were ways you could take out loans, or maybe there was ways you can make money off the current conditions. Maybe your revenues are higher. There's just so many things. Like maybe your taxes and expenses weren't as high. Right? There's just so many things, and I don't want to go into all that. But ever since December 30th, the revenues have declined tremendously. And you know what's interesting? Around this time too, a lot of the growth in speculative stocks and a lot of the stocks that weren't very profitable had dropped around this time too. Chinese companies, growth stocks, space stock, for example, things like that. It all dropped tremendously, followed by pretty much the entire markets. Now it looks like as of June 29th, they've kind of bottomed out here in revenues, and they're slowly picking up. Now I understand that the types of spirit production that this company does is higher premium grade, so they're gonna charge much more, right, than maybe like Nature's Best or whatever. Like, but despite all that, I would wonder. There's so many things that this company could do in order to turn themselves around and increase their revenues, especially if our economy does pick up over time. They can lower down their prices. They could find different types of maybe loans. I don't know. I would have to look into this company a little bit more. I haven't done that yet, but yeah, overall, yeah, I would wonder. I personally would wonder if these, as we transition to green energy and green technology, and we're more considerate of climate change and standards set by the international community, and as we have more companies that are becoming more relevant into like aquaculture and things like that, if we, as we transition away from like meats and beef and all these other kinds of productions that produce a lot of CO2, that we will transition to like other alternatives of like proteins and nutrients through things like Cyanotech, spirulina, or seaweed and stuff like that, which is why they're based in Nelha. But yeah, I wonder. if this is a long-term play that eventually, whether we like it as a society or not, if this type of microalgae is going to be more normalized in everyday consumption. Besides, so yeah, or there's just so many things this company can really do immediately, and then it can do a lot of things in the long term. But um, so considering, I don't want to look into this too much, but when we look at the when you look at the assets here, um, the assets are much higher than the liabilities. And look, the assets are actually worth a lot themselves, like 12.29 million. Long-term assets are 14.97 million. So the company itself is actually, like, just the assets itself is worth a lot. Yeah, so the physical assets are really, they are worth more, substantially more than the market cap and the amount of debt that they have. Um, so for management, um, there's someone named Matt Custer. $290,000 is compensation. That is really high. Um, I mean, it's high because the company isn't doing so well, at least in terms if you're a shareholder of the stock. But the revenues are pretty high, so that, I don't know if that should really matter, you know, especially depending on what their agendas are. Um, yeah, I don't. The company's earnings have gone down tremendously, while the total compensation for the CEOs have gone up tremendously. But it's not something I would take too seriously. I'm just personally curious to look at this, and it's not really what I was paying attention to, really. And yeah, um, the current board members are relatively experienced, and I believe that the founder of this company, Gerald, is still actively participating in this company as well. Um, I did see a little bit of their earnings call, but I don't know. It wasn't really that useful. Um, this is something that really interested me, though, more than anything else, which is why I want to make this video, because I want to better understand this. There's this person named Michael Davis, and I always want to know, why is this person continuing to buy despite the share declining for the past, gosh, for the past maybe 10 or so years. He's been buying in tranches, and and I wonder why. Hasn't sold much, I think, but has been buying. And he made this large purchase of 400,000 shares at around a price around $1, and he's been continuing to buy shares. Currently, the general public owns 47%, individual insiders own 28%, institutions are 24%, and private companies is less than 1%. Now, looking at the top shareholders, that was what really got me into making this video, because Michael Davis currently owns 19.7% of the company's total shares. And then the Rudolf Steiner Foundation endowment arm and the Ginu Gagap Foundation endowment arm owns 13 and 6% respectively, while the original founder only owns 2%. And everyone else who's part of the board own a substantially less amount. I thought that was very interesting, because basically my idea was that Michael Davis, the Rudolf Steiner Foundation, and the Ginu Gap Foundation were probably in cahoots of some sort. And that's why I was like, well, that's really interesting. I wanted to know why this person was buying it, because you know what? Depending on why he buys it, it could be like either a good value or a bad value, based on the current price of the stock. And I was just curious myself, like, is it a good deal for me personally or not? Because I have seen a few companies turn around, but there's always people who want to jump in the ship right before it turns around, right? Like, if you have a ship that is, heading course to fall off a river, or fall off a waterfall, maybe there's like a few people who are strong enough sitting on the sidelines who are like, hey, I can turn the ship around, but I'm gonna need you to promise me something in return. And yes, I think some return turnaround companies do that, and I was wondering if this was it, you know. And the current stock price is, I think, is like 22 cents, and the market cap is 1.8 million, and the revenues are, you know, substantially higher than that. Now, you know, I understand that profits could they could go down, but they also could increase if I believe that the industry itself by 2030 is gonna grow substantially, and that if the economy picks up and the company knows how to capitalize on its premium, but maybe they can lower down their prices or produce premium or low grade, I don't know. But I did hear rumors that Cyanotech was planning to expand their their operations and hire more people. So I thought that was really interesting because when you look at Cyanotech, right? I mean, it's really hard to get development in Hawaii, just because there is a lot of land, but there's so many policies and regulations that prevent people from building land up. These assets are actually worth something, and you know, it's very possible that if this company were to go bankrupt, which I don't know if it would, and I don't know, um, I'm not even someone to be taken seriously. This is just my opinion. You know, I'm not smart. I'm not smart. I really am not. I'm just an idiot. You know, who wants to understand things better. But you know, this is some prime real estate, man. And you know, north of this, you have like a bunch of millionaire and billionaires living in Hualalai, and you have a bunch of millionaire and billionaires living in Hawaii. And yeah, you know, anytime I see a foundation, I always get a little concerned. But yeah, you know, I heard that they're planning to expand Cyanotech's over time, and that is interesting because look, you know, they probably could, you know, keep expanding their business all along the coastline. And I have seen construction over here, so I don't know, maybe it's something else though, right? But it looks like they have this long road going over here, so it's very possible they can keep expanding. And you know, maybe they can turn into a larger scale operation, like substantially larger, and sell lower priced spirulina. And you know, I don't know too much about the operations itself, but maybe if they feel as if they couldn't compete in the higher premium market, then they could produce at a larger scale while lowering down their prices. And you know, I know there's things like wages to be considered, but you know, looking at their wages, not like they pay that much either. You know, they don't pay their farmers who've been working there for like decades that much, who do actually the actual work. Like they don't really pay them that much. So yeah, I think they can increase their revenues overall though. Um, I really do. If they keep increasing the size of their production, and yeah, gives them the opportunity to enter different markets, especially if like the economic conditions and societal conditions become much more accommodating for a company like this, because we're moving towards like climate being more considerate of climate change and things like that. So yeah, it's very interesting. And yeah, if we do have these green technology transitions, then you know a company like this could benefit, right? um, and then maybe increase their revenues overall. And hopefully they can manage their expenses and bring down costs of operations while increasing their revenues as well. But I just, yeah, anyway, I want to go more into this Michael Davis person because I want to know why he's buying despite the stock's going price going down. And I think he's like he's an independent chairman of the board. So This person, this person has a large influence on this company, being independent of the board for over 20 years. Gosh, this person came in maybe, I guess 17 years later or so, around there, after the founding of this company. But yeah, maybe this person wants more control of the company, and that's what I was wondering. Hey, you have a lot of faith in your company. The stock keeps dropping down. You're independent board of this company as well. So why would you want to um, have more leadership of your company? Like, why would you want to have more ownership and shares of the company? Now, one thing you could speculate is that, okay, he believes in the long term vision, and I thought that was something to consider. But I would also wondered if well, what interested me the most was like, why are you doing it the way that you're doing it? Like, okay, I had a feeling something was a little weird over here, so I just wanted to do more research on this person. Um, so he's an independent chairman of the board of Cyanotech as of April 13, 2011, and Mr. Davis was appointed to the board of directors of the company in March 2003. And for over 30 years, he's been active in private investor specializing in investments in natural and organic foods. Neutral, I don't know what that says, I'm sick, and the agriculture from which they are derived. He's also the president of Skywards Family Foundation, Inc., and that was where I was like, well, okay, that's even more weird. Um, so I want to do research on this because that's gonna help me. And the director of Kenobi Films. I didn't. I looked into this, but I didn't look too much into it. And attended Harvard University. Okay, so this guy's pretty smart, I think. His business and investment experience as well, as long as it's associated with the company, provide a board of critical perspective in business. Now you look at the stock price and be like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if you've, I don't know, but because of that, it makes me wonder if there's other intentions here. Um, yeah, for the last numerous years, he's been buying the stock. Many buys here, regardless of the company keeps declining. Probably because he just wants more ownership of the actual company. And so anyway, I it made me look into Sky Family Foundation, and I thought this was interesting because he is the he's a trustee. So is Janet, and then when you look into it more, he grants were made to the Ginugagap Foundation. So that was interesting, and yeah, it just made me really wonder. Like, okay, so this person invests in a foundation that or grants gives money to a foundation that invests in the company that he wants to own potentially or has a large, I mean, he's pretty much one of the large, well, yeah, he's a chairman. So I thought it was interesting because I guess in this sense he owns 25% of the company. Because um well, I guess, all right, I don't know, I didn't look too much into this person, but yeah, he's the owner of this foundation as well, Ginu Nagap Foundation. All right, that is very interesting. So he used one foundation to donate to another foundation that he owns, and then to buy into this company. And yeah, another thing that was interesting to me was that I looked more into the Rudolf Steiner Foundation too, and what I found was that, like, dude, these three entities are like in the same exact area, or like they're really relatively close. Now I understand San Francisco is a hub for tech and investing and all that stuff, but like all these companies are really close together. All these businesses and entities are really close together. Um, when I looked up their addresses, and there's numerous addresses available, so I was like, well, They're all generally around the same area, and I thought that was very interesting. Also, I did read online on Yahoo Finance later, like after I just want to know, like just the general conversation people were having was that, yeah, I guess other people were thinking the same thing too. Like they were wondering, oh, okay, what's going on? This is a little interesting. So yeah, like it turns out someone proposed that the Rudolf Steiner Foundation and Michael Davis are all in cahoots. So, and that there was some sort of lawsuit. Now, I'm not certain, okay? That's just what I read online, okay? So, I'm not an advisor, I'm not a professional, I'm just a person of opinion. I'm just a joke, okay? I'm just curious. I'm just wondering, like like that is really weird, right? Like, okay, so you have Michael Davis, the Rudolph Steiner Foundation, and Ginu Gap. I'm gonna call him Ginu. All three of these entities are pretty much they're all in cahoots, right? So that is that is very interesting. So there's like a 37 to 39% ownership if Michael Davis is like the front runner, or like he's just a figure to at least consider, right? So there's 39% ownership around there. I use this address here to look up where the Steiner Foundation was located, and yeah, they're all very close to each other, whether it be through a PO box or not. That I use this one too, just to see how close they were. But yeah, and then I was looking at the Rudolph. I think this is the Rudolph Steiner Foundation's website, and you can be, I guess here, you can be an investor, and they'll invest your money for you into endeavors that they feel like align with their goals, or you can borrow from them as well, or you can be a donor. And I thought that was interesting too, because I would wonder if like these two philanthropists, these entities that participate in philanthropy, if like I don't know, man, like if it just seems odd to me, like if they can lend money, what are the interest rates, right, of which they lend money to? I don't know. But, I would wonder if like people who, like average Joes like you and I, if we are gonna invest or donate our money to these causes, or yeah, invest into these people, like if they really have our best interest in mind, or as shareholders, or if they're just really using our money as whatever personal gains they have first and agendas, and then they're like, we are on the back burner. And it's probably happened a lot in America. There's a lot of things going on we don't agree with, but I just thought it was so interesting that like, hey, it's a possibility, something it should be considered around here. But I think for me personally, I would like to understand the goals of this person, and then yeah, what would be a good value for me personally, if I can jump on that ship too. I guess that's what I would look at it. Now, I don't think this company is gonna, like, I don't think this entity is gonna be gone. Like, it's a very important thing for Hawaii. This is the tech park of Hawaii, at least when it comes to ocean. A lot of marine biologists and a lot of scientists come here to start up their businesses. So when you look at NELHA, which is the Natural Energy Laboratory of Hawaii, they've received over $130 million in investments from our state. I think that's like our tax dollars and things like that, since 1974, to create the Ocean Science and Technology Park. The innovative Green Tech Economic Development Park is administered by NELHA, and after 4 decades, NELHA is well tracked to fulfilling its mission as an engine for economic development in Hawaii, and the economic impact generated by host park is approaching 150 million annually, with the creation of over 600 jobs statewide. So that's pretty good. And you want to keep increasing your revenues too. I don't know how the park works, right? Like Neo Park has their own version of this, but it's all electric vehicle related. But yeah, when you look at NELHA, there's a lot going on here, and I mean, it doesn't look like it from here, but there's a lot of different companies going on around here. And like they're doing a lot of great things. They're doing a lot of great things, but yeah, they have like different kinds of production here, like shrimp farms, kampachi farms out in the ocean to graze livestock of fish. They're growing. They have a seahorse farm, an octopus farm. They produce algae, and they repackage that. They have like a oyster farm, a crab, a lobster farm. They have all these different types of things that relate with marine life, and they have a bunch of scientific labs. They attract a lot of talent here, and they're going more into that green energy and helping promote, like, yeah, it's a tech hub related to marine life and things like that. And yeah, they're increasing their revenues over time. This could be a byproduct of inflation. This could be a byproduct of policy and government economic shifts that more accommodating for them. This can be maybe their investments starting to return. But hey, it's possible that there's a lot of great things that we see that could be benefiting now Cyanotech over time that we're just not really aware of, that are in the works. Like if they do expand their operations and they're allotted more land, then hey, that's a pretty big deal, right? Like that could increase their revenues tremendously. I mean, they're still hiring from what I'm aware of, so it's not like they're going bankrupt. I actually, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing actually. So there's a lot of things that this company can do. Hopefully, it's in the best interest of the shareholders. I don't know for sure if that's the case, but yeah, a few things I am curious about though is like, why is this person trying to, like, is this person acting in the best interest of the shareholders, like me, you, and the average Joe? That's one question I have. A lot of vagueness when I was looking into the earnings call. Not only that, but I've seen a few companies that renamed themselves, so that's just something else to consider as well. Um, if the company does expand and they keep growing their revenues and operations, then like sometimes it's good for companies to drive down their stocks price. That way they can get other entities in with them as well that are aligned with their goals. Like with Neo, for example, the Abu Dhabi government came in and started investing in their company when the stocks price was cheap. And sometimes it's better than like institutional investors because they can help open up and expand their markets, or give them priority when it comes to like in the UAE, for example. So yeah, I guess the main goal is trying to figure out what this person's trying to do with the company, trying to figure out what's going to happen with the stock, and according, like if they're going to delist and go private, or if this person's going to find a lot of investors to come in, or funding, or if there's going to be more government subsidies that are going to help benefit this company, or if there's going to be policies that are going to help companies like this, or if the economy in general is going to pick up and their revenues and their profitabilities could increase, or there's just a lot of things. But if you look and you have like if you look at this and you have like a consideration to like international community goals, and you're considerate of like climate change and things like that, then you would figure that the spirulina market would be growing along with this. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things here to be considered, and I'm still doing my research. Like this is just something I looked at last night and I was like, wow, this is really interesting, and I just wanted to share my opinions and thoughts. Not a financial advisor, just an idiot who's just observing things. And the more ownership this person has, the more ways he can make decisions for the company. But more thing I would wonder too though is like, if this company does not if this company decides to restructure, like a lot of companies do. Like I remember Neo, for example, when it was on the verge of bankruptcy, it had a bunch of lenders from the state government come in and give Neo money at interest rates that are really really high on these loans. So it benefited the government to have these state government and investors, because they had Neo, they had given loans to Neo that had really really high interest rates that were much more beneficial to the loaner, right? That the loaner, and it was like at around 10% of the and like 10 or 20% of the company ownership. So I thought that was very interesting. And then eventually Neo paid it back over time as it raised more capital. But I would wonder if I would wonder, since these companies, right? They're these foundations. I don't really know how charitable foundations work and philanthropy work or tax evasion works, or like how these types of things work. But I would wonder if he could use these two entities, which have assets over of management, I think pretty high actually. Like I don't know. I'd have to look at it, but yeah, the revenues have declined tremendously. But that, I don't know. Every other year has been pretty high, but like this company, Skywords Family Foundation, has an assets of 96 total. Investments in corporate bonds, investment in corporate stock, investments in government obligations, other assets, buildings, equipment, savings, and short terms. I don't know. Like that's a little weird to me, and I'm gonna be looking into this a little bit more. But other assets is 4 million. Um, Cash, not interest bearing. Yeah, that's just really interesting to me, and I don't know how these types of things work, but I would wonder if this company is looking to take out loans, if they could take out loans from these companies, or if they can be acquired from these companies, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Someone like a professional would have to really look into this to kind of understand what this person's trying to do. But it's just very interesting. Like, maybe these companies can come in and have much more of like a larger position or stake in these companies too. And I understand the general public owns like 47%, but at these low prices, I don't know. You know, shareholders can be diluted. Other entities can come in and claim more ownership of the company. And I would wonder if like these entities of sort would be used, because yeah, again, like if you look at it, it looks like they take donations, they invest people's money, and they also offer loans. I don't know at what interest, at what rate, but I do find that really interesting, that you can use these foundations pretty creatively in order to gain more control or whatever, because the revenues are actually pretty high, relative to the market cap. And I know that you can look at the expenses and the earnings, and I understand that, but these things maybe could be fixed over time, right? So I think this is a very interesting thing to consider and look at. And God, I wish someone smart could come in and just inform me of what's going on, because I would like to know, like, what are options A, B, C, D, and E, and what are the probabilities of these five outcomes happening, and why they would happen. And then I guess I could place my bets there depending on like which horse I want to bet on, right? Like between the five horses and its outcome. But I'm not smart enough to know these kind of things. I didn't, so yeah, very interesting. And when you look at know-how, just as a tech hub, like out of all the islands in Hawaii, I would. The Big Island has so much capital around here. Like you have like some of the most wealthiest and richest people living here, especially around the coastline too, just a couple miles up north. And you know, I don't know. I know sometimes like very wealthy people use philanthropy in order to evade taxes. I'm not saying that this person's doing that, but I would wonder if he could. I mean, would it be beneficial, for example, if like, um, if like, Cyanotech were to be at a low price and take out funding and loans from these two entities that could offer high interest rates, and then they Michael Davis changes the company around and it becomes profitable and the revenues start rising, and then these companies get their loan paid back and they get like, an interest rate that's like really really high for these loans. Like the company Get Around is like was in a position where it spent tons of its money that it didn't have much money, and then it acquired another company similar to Get Around, which is kind of like Turo, like a car rental company. And then so what Get Around did was that they had, I think it was like Mudrick Capital or something, and they had to borrow loans, take out loans from this capital at really really high interest rates, I believe. Please do your own research. But yeah, I just thought that was very interesting too, about why things are the way that they are and what's going on here. Maybe I'll look into this a bit more, and yeah, maybe I'll look into this more and make another video. But yeah, if someone's really smart, I would really like to know. Just curious at this point, right? I mean, it's just really interesting. Like, this has been a company that's been a staple in the Big Island for a long time. Like, everyone kind of knows about it, and everybody knows about know-how too. Right next to the airport. A lot of great things going on here. A lot of money involved. A lot of money coming in and out of this park. A lot of opportunities. A lot of things. So, with that being said, I thank you very much. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an expert. I am just a fool. I am just an idiot with an opinion. I just want to know what's going on. I'm just curious. That's all. Again, not financial advice of any sort. Please do your own research and, help me. I don't know any of this stuff. I'm just curious. And with that being said, I hope you have a great. Hey everybody, I just made this another video right after because I ended up being more curious about this. So I'm probably going to add this onto the other video, but I ended up going onto the Skywards Family Foundation just to see, I think this is the amount that they're donating and like who they're donating to. And the Skywards Family Foundation is donating to Kenobi Films a lot as of I think this is 2022. Yep, 2022. Kenobi Films they donated $900,000. The Bay Area Center of Waldorf Teacher, which is where one of these three entities are located, was given 15. The Ginu Gagap Foundation was given 575,000. That's an interesting number. Then we look back more in 2021. 1,600,000 was given to Kenobi Films. And look, Rudolph, that social finance, that 1002 O'Reilly, San Francisco, one of the investors of Cyanotech, were given 100,000. And another 1.3 million for the Ginugap Foundation. And let's see if this keeps going. Kenobi Films, RSF Finance. Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, because like when you look at the board members of like the Smithsonian Museum or something like that, I don't know, some of these board members of the board, like, they have a lot of deep political and ties with like these people really high up in this world, and that's very interesting. And it seems like there's a big club, and we're not part of it, as they say. What was a famous comedian who said that? But yeah, it seems like a lot of money going to these foundations to further charitable and educational purposes in local community. Maybe, right? Maybe. But I guess it just reemphasizes the... Oh, look, there's Michael Davis and, yeah, Janet. And I think the CEO of... was it Kenobi Films? Oh, right here. Let's take a look at that. Oh, they're all in Tyborn. Yep, in San Francisco, all in the same area. And take a look at this Kenobi Films. And maybe this is being used for like good purposes, right? Oh, okay, so this is Michael Davis. Jill Johnstein? Yeah, if you look back, if you just keep looking, you'll find like people are just they're just connected in some way. Hey, give me a job. It seems like you pay your people pretty well, you know? Based off these things, looks like you guys get paid pretty well. I know that philanthropists at times, like these larger, rich, wealthy ones, like you and I will go to like the store and someone will bring a bell and give them like $2 or $5 or something or 20. I mean, we don't see anything back, but I don't know. I know a lot of people use these things to like evade taxes or to push their own agendas, or they can do things like that. Or if you're like Bill Gates and you donate your money to like the World Health Organization, then well, you have a lot of influence there, right? You can dictate how things go. Same thing with Cyanotech. Very interesting, right? Very interesting. So it looks like a legit thing, sort of, but I just I just think it's very interesting that how I can't really find too much more information, but Steiner books, is that like the Rudolf Steiner? Like, oh my goodness, like it just really makes you wonder like why things are the way they are. And I don't know. I really am not smart enough, but anyway, like the whole point of understanding this though is to just build my case that these three entities do have a lot. Um, they have a lot of. They have a lot together, but I'm not. See, the problem is I'm not smart enough to understand like why they're doing things the way that they are. But I wouldn't wonder, right? If we just look at Skywards as an asset management company, then their whole purpose is to keep increasing their amount of assets value, right? So that's all. They're just trying to like to me, like I understand, like I guess I keep looking at this company or this yeah, this foundation as if it's like some kind of something, but um yeah, I guess it's just like another hedge fund, right? Or another institution just trying to increase its profits and value over time, and it can acquire companies or have large and things like that. And yeah, it just makes me wonder if I understand that people who own like these kind of foundations that donate to charitable causes while owning companies that are nonprofits or companies that are profitable or trying to be profitable, or companies that aren't profitable. There's just so many things you can do with it, and you can benefit from it. But I just don't know how it works personally. So I think someone smarter than myself has to come in here and just try to understand where things can be going. Um, just very interesting though, because yeah, it's kind of like there's a joke where it's like Bill Gates opens up like his own hospital or something, which is a profitable hospital, and then so he donates like I don't know. It's a joke, right? It's not real, but like he donates like $100 billion to this small little hospital in a rural area, and then I don't know. He somehow gets that money back, or it stays in this foundation, um, like almost like a bank account in a sense, um, and then he eventually like makes up any losses he would have had from paying taxes conventionally, and then he even increases his wealth and assets held, and he uses that to take on more loans because the value of his assets go up. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into all that stuff because I'm not smart enough. Okay, but yeah, it's just very interesting here, and I wonder, again, like, what is the goal of this? Like, hey, you want to increase the value of your company? Like, hey, maybe you want to increase the assets here. Hey, this could be it, right? Especially if you think this company is gonna be doing pretty good over time. I'm not a financial advisor though. I'm just a idiot with an opinion. I'm just trying to understand this. Like, To me, it's really interesting because it's like, well, how do you do that? Hey, that's really cool. Like, I mean, it is, right? I'm not benefiting from it. Plus, I heard a saying too, like every dollar that a philanthropist donates to a charitable cause, we ended up paying it because they don't. That means money they actually don't contribute back in the form of taxes. But that's not what this video is about though. This video is about trying to understand Cyanotech, and I'm not gonna pretend like I know anything about any of this because I don't know anything. I'm not educated in this, and I'm not educated. So this is just my opinion. Please do your own research. I'm not a professional of any sort. Please make any decision you have based on your own understanding and your own consensus and your own wants. I'm just trying to understand this, and I wish someone else smarter than me could come explain this to me because maybe I'm just speculating too much. Again, with that being said, I hope you have a great day. I'll probably just attach this to the other video.